For more on this, let's bring in Washington State Representative and House Armed Services Ranking Member Adam Smith. Congressman, welcome.
Good morning.
President Trump says he's
good morning.
close to, yeah, sure. President Trump says he's close to a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke about his relationship with the president. Let's play it.
We've never had a friend like him in the White House. That's an understatement. He cuts to the chase, and he cuts through the fog, and he says things that people sort of skirt around, but he gets to the main issue right away. I've been around many presidents. I appreciated them. I respected them a lot. But this is different.
Congressman, what's your assessment of the Middle East right now?
We still have a long way to go, is the basic assessment. I mean, the war in Gaza continues. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is as profound as it's been over the course of the last, over 18 months since October 7th. So there's a lot of work left to be done. I just hope we don't start celebrating, patting each other on the back before we actually get to peace. Israel is still bombing in southern Lebanon. The Houthis in Yemen just sank 2 commercial ships just in the last few days. And Iran and Israel have not reached a peace agreement. Let's remember that Iran and Israel exchanged missile fire twice during the Biden administration. The Biden administration helped Israel defend itself, brought together a coalition of nations to help with that, and got a stop to those hostilities on 2 occasions. We still have a long way to go to get to a peaceful outcome. Now, there are positive developments, certainly getting rid of Assad, the weakening of Hezbollah, the weakening of Hamas, the weakening of Iran. Much of that has been happening over the course of the last 18 months. It puts us in a good, strong position, but we got a long way to go. So let's not celebrate too soon peace in the Middle East.
All right, to another war zone. Russia's Vladimir Putin continues vicious attacks on Ukraine. Here's President Trump on that. I'll get you to react. Okay, forgive me. So the president said that basically in reaction to the drone hitting a maternity hospital in Ukraine, he says you'll be seeing things happening. What do you think the American response should be?
Well, I think we should aggressively sanction Russia, and we should make it clear that the 53-nation coalition that, again, the Biden administration pulled together to help defend Ukraine is going to stand strong, stand together, and the U.S. is going to continue to lead it. We are not going to cut off weapons to Ukraine. We're not going to blame Zelensky for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We're going to hold Putin accountable by supporting Ukraine and putting them in the best possible position to defend themselves, and by sanctioning Russia. Look, the Trump administration made an enormous mistake at the start of its term by thinking that Zelensky was the one who was holding up peace, putting all of the pressure on Ukraine, and in some instances, blaming Ukraine for the war, all the while giving Putin a pass. Well, Putin saw weakness and he struck. He has, stepped up his attacks in Ukraine greater than they ever have been since the start of the war, because Trump sent a clear signal that the U.S. was going to bail on Ukraine and that Putin could have his way. Now, that seems to be changing in the last week. I hope it does. I hope we send the right signal, because that's what forces Putin to the table. If we say, you're not going to take Ukraine, you're not going to be able to do that, you have to negotiate. We have to show strength in supporting Ukraine.
I was thinking that was a negotiating tactic, trying to get Putin to the table. Obviously, Putin continues with his vicious attacks. Obviously, let's switch gears and go to Asia. And Taiwan is conducting major war games there, dealing with the China threat. Here's Secretary of State Rubio on that.
No issue about drills. I think the Chinese position on Taiwan has been expressed. I don't think it's a mystery to anyone in terms of where they stand on it. And our position has also been expressed pretty openly. So it was not, as I said, our meeting today was not a negotiation or a back and forth on items. It was more about establishing a constructive baseline where we can continue to talk on multiple fronts.
What's your read on China-Taiwan now?
I think it's in a dangerous place. And actually, I agree with Secretary Rubio's take on how we should handle it. We definitely should have discussions with China, but we should stand firm. And no military takeover of Taiwan should be permitted. And we should help Taiwan be in the best possible position to make it clear to China that that's not going to be something that they want to do, that the cost to them is going to be greater than the benefit. I'll tie it back to Ukraine, though. If we can stop Putin in Ukraine, if we can send the signal that dictators simply using military force to grab territory is not a good choice, If Putin appears to fail in Ukraine, that too sends a message to China. But part of it also has to be making sure Taiwan can defend itself. Look, the policy of, one China, they will eventually be united, but not by force, is something that we need to stand up for to discourage China from launching a war against Taiwan. If they think they can succeed, the risk of that goes up. So we have to help work with partners, allies in Taiwan to make it clear that they will not succeed.